Almost every week, policy and decision makers from government organizations and donor agencies from India and abroad, opinion makers, NGOs and even village communities visit the Watershed Institute at Darewadi to learn about watershed development and its impacts. Apart from classroom lectures, presentations and conventional methods of learning, the most fascinating and probably most effective method of training is the direct discussions with the local people of Darewadi. People who live on a watershed, people who have borne the brunt of environmental degradation, simple village people who were condemned to poverty and despair. A village whose very existence was threatened due to the loss of livelihood and migration of its able sons in search of the elusive sustenance. A village that had drinking water supplied in tankers from February till the monsoons arrived, if they ever did. And who have themselves successfully turned around their fortunes. All of this in just 5 years. Who else can understand watershed development better? Who else can teach watershed development better? Darewadi is a drought-prone village in the rain-shadow region of Ahmednagar district. A remote village without any assurance of water for drinking or agricultural activity. Its average rainfall is 450 mm. The total geographical area of the village is about 4,000 acres, of which just about 500 acres are seasonally irrigated. Agricultural production, even in a year of reasonably good rain, was not sufficient even for 3 to 4 months. Employment opportunities were scarce, and primary education was a distant dream for the children. Women had to toil hard, either in the places to which they had migrated or in their own village to fetch water, firewood and other basic needs. Father Herman Barker of the Watershed Organisation Trust, that is, WOTR, approached the village with a plan to rejuvenate the degraded environment. He had his own reasons to select Darewadi.
A year before 1995, I was for half a year going all over the places with my jeep up there on the Patar, seeing where I find the worst watershed possible. Absolute desert. But it should have about 1,500 hectares. So after half a year traveling on the Patar of the whole of Maharashtra, I looked down on this watershed. Beautiful. Perfect desert, no water, not a tree, not a grass. I said, this is the place we can do something. Now, if you cannot start from zero, what's the use of it? You have not proved anything, because anybody may say there was already 50%, you came and did 51% and said, it's my work, which they usually do, no? Darewadi was an awful business. 5 months the people didn't have had even drinking water. They had to leave the village, go for sugarcane cutting, go for brick kiln work, anything. But there was nobody here. And they were sheep holders, no? So for half a year they were not even here with their sheep, goats and everything. They were at the east coast of India, and then they came back again.
But the villagers were not relenting. They kept delaying the process.
95 साली इथं जे भादरबाकर 12 महिने आमच्या दाराची वाती थोडी केली, त्याच्यात आम्ही सामील नाही या पाणलोटमध्ये. याचं कारण की नेट प्लॅनिंग करताना 7-12चे उतारे घ्यावा लागायचे. आता काही लोकांना भीती अशी वाटायची की 7-12 घेतल्यानंतर हे आपली जमीन घेणार, जर्मनवाली इथं येणार, अशी शंका आमची मूळ शंका. त्यांचा सत्कार होता नगरला, जवळ 5 लाख लोक जमले होते. त्या सत्कार निमित्ताने तिथं बाळासाहेब विखेंनी सांगितलं की मी 40 गाव नंदनवन केले, या माणसाच्यावर केले म्हणे. माझ्या घरी हॉस्पिटल आणि हायस्कूल हे पैसे झालेत माझ्या घरी हल्ली या माणसाच्यावर. नंतर बाळासाहेब थोरातना सुद्धा त्याचा अनुभव सांगितला. बऱ्याचशा गावगावच्या लोकांनी अनुभव सांगितले. की आपल्याला जर सुखी व्हायचं असेल तर ह्या पाणलोट शिवाय पर्याय नाही.
Finally, in 1996, the village decided to take a chance with their destiny. The whole process was executed on a participatory yet professional manner, now a trademark of all water projects. The first task was to set up an effective local institution, the Village Watershed Committee or VWC. The VWC in Darewadi was a 22-member committee elected by the Gram Sabha, that is, the village community. It had 6 women members, thus giving the women a voice. The VWC and its members are the custodians of their ecosystem. The members have clearly assigned responsibilities known as portfolios. The VWC members discharge their responsibilities with the cooperation and participation of all the villagers. The formation of a VWC also allays the fear that an outsider will take control of the village. With a transparent accounting system in place, monitored by the Accounts Committee of the Village Watershed Committee, people were assured that the money received for the project was spent on the project. Each aspect of the project, whether it was work on the various treatments to land, measurements taken for calculating the payments to workers, implementation of the various conditions of the watershed project, like the contribution of the village through sweat equity, ban on free grazing and cutting of trees, was implemented by the villagers under the watchful guidance of the Watershed Organisation Trust. By the end of the project, the results are there for everybody to see.
The underground water table has almost doubled.
With an increased water availability, there is now no drinking water problem even during the harshest of summers. The village is tanker free. An additional amount of 363 acres of agricultural land has been brought under irrigation, which is a 43% increase in irrigated area. Water is easily available for all farming activities, and farmers can sometimes take even 3 cash crops during a year. Migration of families in search of wage-related labor has stopped. In fact, Darewadi now hires labor from other villages. The number of wells have increased up from 23 to 67. 150,000 saplings were planted during project implementation. Multiple cropping pattern has been adopted with tomato, onion, wheat and vegetables introduced in place of bajra, pearl millet along with coarse cereal. Fodder production has increased by 210%. Milk production is on an average of 600 liters per day from nothing previously. Darewadi sends nearly 150 liters of milk to the milk cooperative every day. Poultry keeping is now possible. Literacy rate has gone up from 54% to 74%. Children are back where they should be, at school. There is a wide participation of women in income-generating applications and in self-help groups for promoting savings.
Women have started various small income-generating activities. They do not look in for very big markets. They look in to their own village and the neighboring villages as the market and identify activities that would be viable there. The monies now are rotated within their village so that it helps improve their status. Bankers feel that there is a better opportunity to invest in them because they are ensured that their monies are in safe hands and repayments will be on time, and that the monies are now bringing in economic returns.
Darewadi is an example of what human spirit can do if provided the necessary inputs and professional knowledge in a no-nonsense manner. There is no need of charismatic leaders, political will, godmen and spiritual leaders, hunger, is a good enough motivator for people to work for a collective game plan. What is needed is a source which tells them what is to be done, who trains them and lets them take charge of their lives. WOTR has successfully replicated the Darewadi example directly and by supporting other NGOs in over 300 villages covering over 250,000 hectares of land in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. WOTR believes that this movement can be taken to a different level by bringing in professionalism in implementation and its scientific application.
It is our firm conviction that poverty can be alleviated if we impart a professionalism to the village people so that they in turn can now take up their own development in their hands. We do this by first sharing the knowledge gained with the village people themselves. Demystification is the key, and from our own experience we have learnt that even a so-called illiterate woman is able to grasp the complexity of the technical components of watershed development. The people in the villages are able to understand and maintain their records and accounts so that they themselves can then transmit this information to all in the village. There is a clear transparency in account keeping, in record keeping, that every pie that goes into the village is then accounted for and put in the public domain. It is not charity that works, but it is treating people with respect, and which in turn elicits them to respond better. Every pie invested in development has to bring sustainable economic returns. I'm deliberately using the term investment because I believe that we have to invest in people. We invest in the environment, we invest in land, and we are able to track the economic returns that comes from these investments, inclusive of the investments in people. But we have developed a very appropriate management information system that can track every pie that has been invested into every area where it has been invested, and we can also track every pie that has been put into the villages. We can track it to the field of the farmer, and we do know what are the returns of the investments gained.
Watershed development can be a solution for poverty alleviation, especially in the rural India, by creating millions of low-tech jobs and by refurbishing the environment.
All do benefit directly or indirectly. Like for instance, as I had mentioned earlier, if the productive capacities increase, then obviously the demand for labor also goes up. If people increase their agriculture production, they need more labor. If they are diversified from cereal crop to horticulture or fruit, you need more labor. So the demand for labor in the village goes up. In other words, the agricultural season or the employment season increases in the village. So even people who don't have land, for instance, they are suddenly, there is demand for their services, which means the wage rate also rises.
To take this professional approach in watershed development to a different level, WOTR initiated the setting up of the Watershed Institute at Darewadi. The aim of this institute was to impart world-class training to people involved in the watershed development work all over the world. Set up in 1996, around the same time as the project work began in Darewadi, the institute has been as successful as its now famous watershed. Till date, the institute has conducted over 4,000 training programs having over 110,000 participants from 22 Indian states and 17 countries.
I think it's very good to have this exposure to understand how the watershed program works and how it succeeds during the time or during the years it goes on. So this experience is a quite good thing to understand, even for foreigners who doesn't know much about your country and this project.
as long as there is not initiative and a vision from within and from your people, we can do very little from the outside. So the important thing is that we can support something that you guys want to do, and then it will bear fruit. But if it's just coming from the outside, it's not very good.
Watershed development is need of the hour. Unless we do it, I don't see how we will be able to get over poverty. It's very difficult.
Well, I came with a very critical approach because I thought it can't be true, all these success figures. So I looked into the problems, where are they, and where are they really the loopholes, and I didn't find any. What I did find is, a very convincing solidarity of the communities, and I think this is the most important achievement.
You know, when you compare this one to where we come from, some of these community challenges, particularly in the initial stage, when you start the entry point, it's quite common. Different ecological zones, or different classes of people, or in our place we call them tribes. To become a hindrance to bringing people together. But now this one is showing us this experience. When people have determination, when they come together, they can overcome all those barriers.
The people are there in a situation of mutual dependency. They only can solve the problem if they stick together. And bringing about an organization and arrangements between people which they trust in and which they find transparent and which is then inspiring them to contribute to the project. I think this is and what is really Watershed.
You start even from conserving from the source on top of the hill, then going down to what we can call a sink down where the water is going downstream. So that approach, I think it is quite impressive, and we're happy about it. And I think we shall, when we go back, we shall try and see how best we can also assist our people there in doing what we have seen.
The activities are so effective, and we think that this success is indeed for us the basis for further commitments.
So, what makes watershed development an important approach to poverty alleviation in rural India?
In rural areas, all people live in watersheds. Now, a watershed is basically the catchment area of a particular stream or a drainage system. It means that area on which rain falls, which harvests it and drains it out. In rural areas, in villages, most of the household needs are provided for and supplied by the environment. Take for instance water. It comes from the heavens, but it is available within the area you live in. Either you harvest it there, trap it there, or you lose it. So, to the extent that the environment is healthy, robust, and can provide abundant services to the people living within that, to that extent, the quality of life also is impacted.
Today, Darewadi has become an example to all rain-dependent, drought-prone villages. They have had their share of hardships and triumphs. The people here gratefully acknowledge the help they have received and their obligation to others in need. They counsel villagers visiting them during exposure visits. They share their knowledge of watershed development with government officials, NGOs, representatives from foreign delegations. The pride shows. After all, they have successfully turned around their fortunes. It does not matter if the world does not know about it yet. Just 10 years back, this had seemed so impossible.